Welcome to Blockbuster Bums. Kick back your recliner, crack open a beer, and let's talk movies. And today we're here to discuss The Man with the Golden Gun, another Roger Moore Bond movie made in 1974, and the ninth movie in our Bond collection. And Justin, would you like to give us a quick synopsis of the movie?
It's very quick. Man with a golden gun. It's almost self-explanatory. Essentially, Bond learns that he is the target of one of the best hitmen out there, who seems to be his equal, named by Scaramanga. He ends up falling into some other stuff. Then it becomes not about him getting killed, but him stopping a plot for Scaramanga to be to be in control of solar energy for some reason.
Yeah.
It gets weird, but
Once again,
yeah,
progressive.
it's essentially about Bond trying to find this guy before he gets assassinated.
Yes. All right. Barry, what did you think of the movie on your first watch?
I liked it more than I expected I would, just kind of by, just taking in, reading stuff on the internet, talking with other people. I didn't expect myself to enjoy Roger Moore's turns as Bond. I was fairly pleased with Live and Let Die. I thought it was entertaining, and I found The Man with the Golden Gun to be an imperfect movie, of course, but entertaining and largely enjoyable.
Fair enough. Tom?
I mean, I watched it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. Like I said, just disappointed in the character of Bond and like some of the side characters of MI6 and all that. But I think what I'm like into is for the more movies, it seems like the villains are more the stars than anything here. It's not even really about Bond anymore, and I don't know. Like I said, I was entertained, but not impressed by the movie.
Justin?
It was a little frustrating, just with loose plot, but that's become a running theme. Um, the whole Scaramanga Golden Gun thing I thought was kind of silly, especially with the type of shots he was taking. It made no sense. He shouldn't have been able to do that with even one of the best marksmen of all time. Probably wasn't going to shoot the way he was shooting with that type of gun. It was a little weird for me. So, yeah, and it seemed like the plot was all over the place.
Ray?
Before I start, shout out to the late great Christopher Lee, who was
Yes.
also in the Lord of the Rings.
Sour pot.
And my favorite franchise is Star Wars is Count Dooku.
Yes, I'm big. I like Christopher Lee.
But other than that, I feel like these movies have just been wacky experiments with Roger Moore to try new and weird shit.
70s, man.
I'm telling you, it was weird. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just okay.
All right. Well, my thoughts was I remember really, really liking this movie as a kid. I thought like him being able to put together a golden gun out of a cigarette case and a pen and all that stuff was like the coolest thing in the world.
But as a kid, did the gun make the movie for you? Because I know
Yes, yes, that's what I'm leading up towards.
It did me like.
But watching it as an adult, I kind of follow where Justin did. Things annoyed me more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I'm not saying we're looking at James Bond. Not everything has to be 100% real. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I was just kind of like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't track. Like, I don't know. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, the movie was cool to me as a kid, like you said, but because there was the video game,
Yes, that's true too.
GoldenEye Nintendo 64 game, and
Yeah.
you got the golden gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
One shot, one kill.
Yes,
The
very
most
much.
powerful gun in the game.
It's
Played
only
the
thing
crap
made
out of
from
that
the
game.
movie, yeah.
I love that game. Yeah,
One of the greatest video games of all time.
I think it was the first shooter.
It-
I think
It was definitely, yeah. I think it was
one of them.
Yeah, it was like right up there with Doom and all that. Like,
So
I got
then,
it too. On my little 64.
Ray has it. Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. I don't have mine anymore. I don't know what happened to mine.
I got mine.
I kind of want to play it now.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
And you could play with a bunch of people. It was always fun.
Good party game.
Anyway, so back to the movie. So let's just start off with the beginning of the movie.
As all great movies open with the triple nipple.
Oh my god.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I wasn't even going to mention that. But yes, you're correct.
Yeah, that's the first. Yeah,
It's Scaramanga, or however you say his name.
Scaramanga.
Scaramanga.
Francisco.
Yeah, Francisco.
Scaramanga.
He's getting out of the what appears to be the ocean, and his
He has a bond.
mistress is drying him off, and he has 3 nipples.
Yep.
And it comes up repeatedly throughout the whole movie that he has 3
Third
nipples.
nipple.
Well, because like I said, he has a distinguishing feature, but no one knows what he looks like.
Yes.
But you
Right.
only see this feature if this man's shirt's off. So it's one of those.
Right.
things
It's
where,
like when Bond says in that one scene, "This only works if we're at a strip club and he's stripping." So yeah,
Very peculiar.
Yes.
but then you're like you're kind of confused at the beginning, like his henchman, which is Nick Nack. Is he setting his boss up? Is he helping his boss? Is this guy
I think he's
Like-
keeping him on top of his
He, I mean, that's what it ends up being. But
Yeah.
as you're watching it,
Yeah.
you're not sure which side he's on because he's like laughing when his boss screws up. He's laughing when the other guy screws up. It's kind of like he's just like whatever.
Because he
Like,
can't lose.
yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You find. I mean, he tells you
Scaramanga's
that
killed.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Scaramanga dies, then he gets everything. But if he wins, then his boss is still the man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's an interesting little. And by the way, I did read this that Nick Nack is supposed to be. Damn it.
A giant.
No. He's supposed to be a miniature version of the
Odd job.
of Oddjob. Yes,
Oh,
he's supposed to be Oddjob in miniature form. I saw that multiple places
He
while
didn't wear a hat.
looking at stuff.
He's not
Yeah.
Odd job.
Say what?
He didn't wear a hat.
I just want
Yeah, he wore a hat just like Oddjob's, only it didn't have a blade in it.
He
I
didn't
just wanna
say
see him-
aha.
I want to see him crush the golf ball.
Yeah, crush the golf ball.
That'd be even more.
Only
impressive
say
than him doing
aha.
it. Like,
Aha, yeah.
but no, but I like that. I like the whole like. 'Cause I looked at it as like this dude's so good. He's using like opponents as a training ground.
Yeah, that's essentially
I
what he
like,
was
'cause
doing. Yeah.
even when Nick Nack was teasing, him, I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't make it that easy for you. Will you find your gun and all that?"
Yeah.
And he's sneaking around. The other guy's clueless and everything, so it makes it. It's like,
Like I thought this
one-
was helping me.
yeah, no, but like I enjoyed it because like, man, if I was number one in the world, I'd probably toy around like that too. And you want to make it a challenge almost. Like, how do you make it harder if you're the best?
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
So it says a lot about how good Bond is if he considers himself his equal. The way that he's training and the way that Bond doesn't.
Well, since Bond's name is out there,
Yeah.
and everybody knows who Bond is, I assume that everybody knows Bond has saved the world like 4 times by now.
Yeah.
So Bond is probably just viewed as like the shit. I mean, by the general populace.
Yeah, you're a spy, not spy. Because everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. So, and then we go from his. No, we don't know where it's at this point, but his house, compound,
Which is
whatever.
awesome. You know, it's a pretty cool as far as James Bond
They really have
bad
a
guy compounds
Funhouse
go.
killing ground. It's
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
fun house.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful beach, you know, cool rock faces, and you know the interior at a moment's notice can be turned into a fun house / training ground for the assassin. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kowloon.
Say
We'll
what?
find out later. It's Kowloon. I think it's China, I believe.
Yeah, they're in China.
Which, if you
It's
think
an
about
island off
it,
China.
they've used a lot of Asian,
It's probably cheaper to film over there.
like scenery for
And
a lot of the
exotic.
movies.
Well, that is probably around Hong Kong and stuff like that too. Around that time, like,
Yeah, between Japan and China, I think they've been used a lot more than other so far.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time in Hong Kong in this movie,
Mhm.
obviously. I know something that Tom and I think Justin also mentioned, you know, after the introduction of Scaramanga there and the Funhouse stuff, we do, of course, get the title song
yeah.
and the opening, you know, James Bond style with the kind of the cool visuals and so forth, which we agreed in an earlier discussion that upon immediately hearing it for about the first 20, 30 seconds, we didn't really much care for it.
No.
but it slowly
Yeah.
grew on us to the point where I actually really liked it by the end.
Yeah. Like I said, when they replay the song throughout the movie, they only play from the good part on. But yeah, that first like 15 seconds of that song, it's like, this isn't really hitting what I'm seeing visually. And then it's like, okay, now it clicks. Like, now you found your rhythm. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, like, not the best song for sure though. Like,
No,
Yeah.
but a decent opening,
yeah,
title opening.
definitely 70s, like eclectic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
with that blue, red, green art and everything around it and all. Like,
Yeah, and then they had the overlays over like the nipples and the vagina
yeah,
parts.
I was gonna say like it's definitely 70s like psychedelic art. Like, yeah,
It was so 70s that I'm pretty sure I saw like some bushiness.
can't
Oh,
edit everything out.
You see, you see Bush in this movie. In the pool.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What was her name?
Yeah.
Judy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like,
Yes, that was my favorite line. Of the movie.
yeah, that-
Really?
really, yeah.
Jumi's Bush.
I expected to see more of her, but yeah. Well, I guess like again, like
I guess as it'll be important for the discussion moving forward. So, we find out pretty quickly about Scaramanga, his backstory a little bit. He was like, grew up in a circus, became this wonderful shot, and of course he has this golden gun, which has, wonderful capabilities. And then also we find out that a bullet with 007 is sent
with a letter.
for James Bond, and presumably this is a threat from the world's greatest assassin.
Who nobody knows what he looks like or what his name is.
Other than the three nipples.
Yeah, just one distinguishing character.
Which is a weird characteristic that got out. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
it had to have been a woman that said this, that let this fly.
Yeah.
Where
so
goes the Anders woman?
I mean, that's what the movie jumps to, is him at MI6,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
M is telling him, "We've got this bullet. This is a blah blah blah. It's from, the most notorious killer in the world." He tells him, weirdly enough, this starts us down a bad path with M and 007, where M says, "Either give me your resignation, and this time I will sign it, or take a leave of absence until this has been dealt with." Which, okay, so the guy that's been running around the world killing people for years, and you guys can't catch him, I'm going to take a leave of absence and hope that somebody kills him in the next short period of time? Come on.
Right. I took it as, and I may have taken it incorrectly, that M, I don't know if it's a prideful thing or if he just won't say it, he's basically telling Bond, forget what you have going on right now, focus on getting Scaramanga. That's how I
So I
took it.
think you can take it
Which-
another way.
which I think is a very un-M thing to do, because he did not
But-
do that with Blofeld.
What if M was thinking of it almost not as, kind of essentially being a dick, but you're my best agent. I don't want to fucking lose you.
True.
And he knows Bond's not going to resign.
And that's
I think
yeah.
so. And because he was like, take a leave of absence. I need you to be away from this because I don't want to lose you. You're my best agent.
But M knows that Bond's not going to stay away from it.
He knows.
Well, Bond tells him before he leaves the room.
Yeah, and that's what I
Right.
said. He's like, if I would catch him before he gets to me, like,
Right.
it'd be
But M
advantageous.
knew
He's
that
like, "Oh,
going
quite."
into the conversation.
No. Like I said, it didn't even until walking out. But like I said, I think that's that. Like I said, that it's that back and forth, and even when like M says it, he's like, "Oh, quite," and kind of smiles and everything, as if he's like winking, giving him permission to just go like vigilante and find him himself. Like,
Right.
hey, you're
Maybe,
not.
hey,
Yeah,
like,
it's
hey,
like
the official word is going to be you're
Yeah.
gone, taking a leave.
Right.
But secretly,
like, you're
I
not
know,
on the
I know you're
clock,
going to go
00.
after him.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nah.
it's another way to look at it. But
I-
essentially,
yeah.
M was a dick.
I mean, yeah, but why'd you lead the conversation with turn your resignation in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's a weird conversation.
Sometimes tough love breeds motivation.
I think M just wants to keep that authoritative approach in play, particularly with Bond.
I agree with you, but later, and when you take the things he says to Bond later into account, that's why I feel the way I do about these comments. Because later he's even more harsh. Maybe the harshest you can get, really. I mean, I'm not trying to
But
Okay, let's just say it. Like he essentially says, "I wish you were dead."
But I kind of
Yeah.
took that one as like that English banter back and
Like-
forth, though, because there is that over in the UK where you bet.
They're normally nice to each other.
Well, no,
All the
there's,
time. They're almost Canadians.
it's almost like no, because depending where you're from, it's almost like you're
You'll
talking.
get it next time, chap.
It's almost like you're talking trash, but you're not, and all that. To where, like you said, like because something happened to where like something was foiled to where he's like, I almost wish the hit was out on you, almost like as if it was like. It would be easier to handle this situation if there was a real hit on you, James, rather than this nonsense that we're dealing with. Like, that's the way I took that.
Hmm.
I didn't take it as like, fuck, I wish you were dead, James. Like, I took it as like, this will be easier if I could actually use you as proper bait because you were the target. Like,
But if he was the target, he'd be dead because they shot the guy standing next to him.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Scaramanga didn't even know he was there until he saw him. Oh wow. That's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy. I do this because it's him. Yeah. Well, that's how you. Well,
So anyway, then-
It definitely has an
yeah.
odd approach toward Bond.
It's
which
It's
It's-
very
it-
up and down.
yeah.
Very up and down.
He comes across very angry in this movie,
He's
even
an
when he's not
angry old
talking to, even when he's just not saying things we're talking about. Like he just comes across like he's angry.
he does. Well, he does seem frustrated.
Well, especially when he says
like,
about him wishing he was dead. I think M was just legit pissed because why are you doing it? Why are you working on this? I told you to stay away. I wish you were dead.
Well,
That's harsh as hell.
here's the thing, though.
But yeah.
Bond had nothing to do with the mission failing. Another agent was on the mission, and that agent failed. And the Asian guy, whatever, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I forgot his name too. With his,
He failed his mission. He was the one trying to bring the scientist to M, and the scientist got shot on the way there. You're just walking randomly down the street. I don't know how that didn't happen, but and you lost the box,
the Solex.
the Solex. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But then he seems just angry with Bond afterwards, and I'm like,
Almost like he blames Bond for something he didn't even do.
right.
well, it's like or almost like why didn't you stop this Bond? Like it's like
That may be true. Maybe
Yeah.
he's like, I thought you were taking care of this already.
So whereas like it's like I can't say that I'm disappointed that you didn't do what I expected you to do, but I expected you to stop this bullshit. Like
Because I mean, as much as they have their banter and they have their disagreements and everything, in all reality, Bond is his number one. I mean, he's 007, but really he's number one. I mean, when things need taken care of, he goes to Bond.
but like we said, like Bond. So then Bond leaves the office and he just kind of goes on assuming that he's the target.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, it's not until like the shot's taken that he realizes that he isn't.
He goes and gets the old bullet that 002 was killed with,
one of the most. I found that whole scene very uncomfortable.
where he takes
belly
the
dance?
Yeah,
he takes the bullet out of the girl's navel with his mouth.
swallows it on
Swallow-
accident.
Swallows
he didn't,
it,
He
yeah.
didn't mean to.
Well, or
he
the
meant
fact
to
that
take it out with his mouth, but not to swallow it.
wearing
Yeah.
the bullet that killed her husband.
Yeah,
as
that's a weird
charm.
thing for her
like
to
that.
do.
That was
Well,
like,
she
a little
was
morbid
with
and weird.
002,
Yes.
Yeah.
who had been murdered by Scaramanga, apparently, but they didn't recover the bullet from the body because it passed through, and this girlfriend, who's a belly dancer of 002, she wears it in her belly as a good luck charm.
Which is so weird.
She might have cleaned it.
It was very weird, and watching Roger Moore down on his knees, like kissing this woman's abdomen,
Yeah.
it was just like,
It was very weird, yes.
Just grab that shit and run out.
right.
Or just take it from her and be like, listen, bitch, I gotta have this.
I mean, she
Yeah.
did have
Like-
a tight little body. I mean,
Yeah.
But in his bond, he's
Big
got to
horse
try to
teeth.
enjoy
Right.
it,
Big
before he
teeth,
leaves.
Like
she did have big teeth.
big teeth.
Yeah.
Definitely see her smiling. Like
Yeah. She would definitely.
So,
But he recovers the bullet, which is important to
Yeah.
him being able to continue forward and find out about Scaramanga.
yes, and then he confronts the bullet maker.
Well, he's got to shit the bullet out first, don't he?
Well, yeah, he shows
that-
He
he
was
went
like,
to-
how'd they get that bullet?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He told
Made that-
the
made
cabbie
that
to take
little
him
joke
to
on,
a
Said,
pharmacy.
hurry up, give me a pharmacy. I got to get some laxative, bitch.
So
just thinking
then he presents the
Bond
bullet to
making his own
Q,
strat.
and apparently Q's new assistant. I don't know.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy.
Oh, the scientist feller.
Yeah. And they tell him where the bullet was, or who made the bullet, because they've seen these before. And then he goes and confronts the bullet maker, and then that leads him to Andrea Anders.
Who again is the bullet maker is a fan of James Bond.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
also a fanboy.
Yes.
James
What was it
Bond.
that-
He's very excited to make a gun or ammo for him.
Yeah.
This is his world. It's like, oh, like I know you.
I'll
like,
say this about that scene too. The munitions maker guy, his name was Lazar.
Yeah.
I thought Roger Moore and whatever Bond in that scene was awesome, because it could have been lighthearted and silly, but he was very frightening. Moore was very frightening in that scene.
Yeah, he had that
you
gun
know.
and he's.
It was
Yeah,
definitely
Turns
tough
it
guy.
around
It was
on
definitely
him.
tough guy more.
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah,
thought
Oh,
it
you did
was
say
good.
you said an inch low, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And then dude's like, dude, here.
He probably could have taken a softer touch to get the information, but he didn't.
Yeah, because dude was a fanboy. He probably
Yeah.
could have appealed to that. And
Yes.
was like, I'll let you make me a gun.
Yeah, I like
Tell me
that
where
scene.
those bullets come from.
Yeah.
Well, where are you sending those bullets?
Mm-hmm. By the way, it was funny that he was making a gun for a guy that couldn't pull a trigger, so you had to squeeze
Yeah.
the
Put
it in
stock.
the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was great.
Yeah. Anyway, so then he gets that information, which leads him to Andrea Anders, which is the man with the golden gun's mistress. So then he goes to her hotel room where she's in the shower. So he stands there and watches her shower.
He does.
Oh yeah.
And then she gets out, pulls a gun on him, actually. And then he ends up knocking the gun out,
You often shower with
smacking her around, and then like threatening to break her arm. Finally gets some information out of her on where Francisco will be, and then essentially just brings her to his side immediately.
Yep.
Is like, oh yeah, you're gonna, and then you're gonna work for me, and she's like, why would I do that? And he's like, because if he finds out you met with me, he'll kill you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's that simple.
There, you know?
Yeah, it makes
Well,
sense.
and she's,
You're right.
He's appealing to that. She knows it. And he's like,
Well,
hey,
then
like, make
now
sure
she's
he
gonna
gets
think
these
he's gonna make
bullets.
sure he's gonna
Yeah.
do something to let Scaramanga know that she helped him.
Yeah.
Well, and Scaramanga did have more gold bullets, of course, on order from Lazar.
Mm-hmm.
And Lazar delivers them to Anders.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they're in Hong Kong at this point.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah.
Or some kind of a casino thing.
Which shortly thereafter leads us to one of the most unnecessary but funny scenes, the bottoms up scene,
Oh, that is an interesting little bar. Like,
where it's just the woman's ass takes up
Yes.
the
Oh
entire
yeah.
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, it's called bottoms up.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, a little bed in the center of the bar, half naked girl just filling up my glass.
It's a
Yeah.
bit
Hey.
gratuitous,
It's-
but whatever.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty innovative, to be totally
I
honest.
know. I really thought, I was like, you know what? I was like, if it was clean enough there and everything,
Yeah.
the girls were pretty. Like, yeah,
Something
like,
different,
sure,
I'd
yeah.
go.
Even if
I'd
you're
probably
just
go
in a
hang
bikini
out
and
there.
everything, I'll go have a drink and everything.
Yeah.
Cheat you up.
Yeah.
Give a rum and
Flirt a
coke.
little bit and walk away. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good concept.
But that's where, and I know that you guys mentioned it earlier, that Scaramanga, shoots a man outside, shortly after they're in the bottoms up, Bond is, and then Bond is taken into custody at that point for just being around and having
Oh
a gun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
he did pull his gun out and used it like
Right.
This
It's-
Asian man identifies himself as a police officer, tells him to drop his gun. He picks it up and then puts Bond in the back of a police car and zooms away without, like, but Bond's like got his arm up on the window and like they're just sitting in the car all, just natural as crap. And then they like, he keeps telling Bond where they're going, but then they never go to where they're going. Like we're going to the police station and they don't go to the police station. They go to the docks. And he's like, oh, I'm taking you to this island. And then they don't go to that island. And then Bond's irritated. Bond's like, whatever. So then he like throws a buoy at somebody and then like jumps onto a half sunken ship, which just happens to
It
be
just happens to
MI6
be-
headquarters.
He was like, oh,
Yeah,
hatch
him
bomb.
in like submarines and boats and stuff. It's
And by the way, I the only one that really thought it was coolest crap to have all the things sideways,
That
like
was
all
awesome.
the rooms and hallways sideways
Yeah.
because the boat was half sunk.
Yeah, it
I
was
thought
cool.
it fit with the whole funhouse motif that Francisco does as well.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even think
Like,
about that,
'cause
but
I
that's
was
cool.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Right.
I get it. It's like, this is your fun house and this is their fun house. Like, it's, I enjoyed that parallel.
So then you find out that the Asian police officer that took him into custody actually works for MI6.
But you would
And
think he could have been a little more upfront about that.
yeah, just tell him. Just tell him. There's no good reason. I mean, maybe at very first to like get him in the police car with you.
Well, because
You-
he said there was a reason why he couldn't.
He said I didn't know how much you knew about the mission.
Oh.
Like,
But
first
you can
off-
you don't have to tell him the mission. You can just say I work for MI6.
Yeah, and
Like-
first off, Bond's a 00. He ain't.
But he's
So
not on the clock.
But still, Bond's still superior to him.
Right. He has more. He has
that
more.
means you need to tell him what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I have more classification than you do.
Yeah.
And this is the point, where he meets M inside that ship is awesome.
Yes,
the way it's
I agree.
set. And that is the point where M says that he wished that Bond did in fact have a hit put out on him.
Yeah.
Just like that struck me as just overly harsh. I took it the way Alex took it, as just you're just being a massive jackwad, and I think that's what we were supposed to take from it. It wasn't lighthearted in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, it was really dark.
Yeah,
Like, really? You wish he was dead?
yeah. We also find out about the silly, as we all know, solar power. It works so well.
It needed
Yeah.
soda.
Yeah.
But this is the point where we're introduced to that part of the plot.
Oh yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, the part that I took away from it is that this is like 1974, and we're in the exact same place with power that we were in 1970. Like they're talking about in 1974. I'm like, that's the same conversation we're having now.
Yeah.
There's- I can't get enough energy from solar
It is the
power.
same thing. Yeah, it's just a boondoggle. Like
The only thing that
So
M
helps.
the only thing that M said that was wrong was what he goes, we're about to run out of oil and coal.
We're always about to run out.
We've been at peak oil for 100 years.
It's kind of like how Armageddon's coming every other year. Like, we're
Yeah.
fucking, like, it's like, be all right.
And M reads these two agents, the riot act, Bond and the Asian guy. Do we know
I
his
can't
name?
remember that fella's name.
Hip. That's his name. Hip.
Hip.
Yeah. So he reads Bond and Hip, the riot act, essentially telling them they're failures and they suck and all that stuff. And does Moneypenny appear in that scene?
I don't know that Moneypenny's
No.
there or not.
It's just M and those two dudes.
Okay.
We're also introduced to, I believe at this point, a gentleman named High Fat, and he becomes part of this
Yes.
solar energy plot.
Yes.
Because what Bond meets with him, right?
Bond immediately leaves there with Hip and goes to High Fat's compound,
They
and that's
sneak
when he
in.
sees the girl swimming in the pool who's naked,
Mhm.
which I'm surprised we got in a 1974 movie.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, what is this movie rated?
It's PG.
PG.
it really?
Because there's a fair amount of, I believe I see nipples here and there as well.
Yeah, it doesn't become PG-13 until
You're squinting
Pierce
too hard,
Brosnan.
Barry.
Yeah.
Like, just-
I mean, granted, I had my magnifying glass out, but sometimes I watch these with my youngin, and I mean,
Yeah. I was watching with
Oh, no,
Xander
wait,
the other day.
Timothy Dalton is the first PG-13.
Yeah, because he does some pretty grotesque
Yeah.
stuff in his Bond movies.
so
Grotesque. I said
Once it hits
grotesque.
Timothy Dalton is PG-13 from then on.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen, I believe it was this one where you see nipples beyond like the silhouette thing. The
You see
silhouette
it. You
thing's
see it.
different.
You see it in the last one too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Once again, like 70s, they were more progressive than we are now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How sad is that?
Nipples and bush everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, for everyone.
Free the bush. Is that what they had?
yeah, it's like see, in 2 years that'll be the new battle cry.
That will be.
Like,
Free the
that'll-
bush.
But
that'll
in
be it.
order for Bond to identify himself to High Fat, he takes his shirt off so that High Fat can see that he has 3 nipples because he has a fake nipple on.
Yeah, on
By the
wrong
way,
side.
I just want to point this out, even though it might sound kind of weird. So, Roger Moore has 3 nipples on, okay, and so does Christopher Lee. Roger Moore's chest is completely shaven, so it looks pretty natural as far as like he has 3 nipples. But Christopher Lee has a super hairy chest, and they just shaved a little circle and stuck a nipple in it. And I was like, you can see around the like where they shaved the circle's bigger than the nipple, so like they shaved like a circle like this big, and then the nipple's right inside it. And I'm like, that looks so stupid.
You have that like radius around.
Yes, exactly. I was like, they just shaved a spot and stuck a nipple on it.
Yeah, they didn't want to cut him down. They could have just cut the hair down some, and then maybe made a smaller spot.
Yeah, they should have made the spot
hair
the
would go over
size of the nipple, probably. But anyway, or just tell them, hey, you're gonna have to shave your chest for this part, or whatever. Do something. But it just looked stupid the way it was. I was like, this looks asinine, even though it's a weird thing to pick up on.
But what they go from there is like, oh, like, it was my understanding we were never supposed to meet and everything in person, like.
High Fat does a really good job of playing Bond in that scene because as soon as Bond walks away, the Francisco's standing there, so he knew that it wasn't Francisco the whole time.
Yeah.
And he invites him back to dinner, which is a trap. So he goes back to dinner.
Which I love the trap.
And Nick Nack and two sumo wrestlers take him out.
Oh, they try.
Once again, the hit from behind. You're so vulnerable.
Yep. Yeah. With a trident.
He goes from sumo wrestling, a couple of fellas, to a midget hitting him over the head with a trident.
And then
this is a strange movie.
And then High Fat goes, take him to school.
But I like that because I enjoy that. Like, no, this is my home. Like, don't kill anybody in my home and all of that. It's like, and I get taken.
No, I get that part, but the take him to school thing's stupid.
Well,
take him out back and shoot him in the head is more the thing. Not, hey, take him to our karate school and hopefully somebody at our karate school will beat him up.
Yeah.
Especially when you saw the first demo and everything where they're fighting to the death. Why does the next guy not have a weapon to fight? It's like,
right. Yeah, the two guys fight to the death with swords, and then Bond just has to.
You get hand
to hand. Yeah.
It's like, but
Bond, that scene was, and I liked the scene all right, but it was an odd scene in that, Bond knows this isn't good for him, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He goes from like laying there thinking that.
Yeah, he wakes up, it's like, oh, heaven.
And then you have this madness, this karate death fight going on in front of you, and he just has to be thinking like, what should I do? Do I stand? Do I just lay here?
He does lay in like a provocative way for a while, but no,
it was just for him.
The more we talk about this movie, the more I like it.
I also thought it was a very Bond move when the guy went to bow to him. He just kicked him in the face.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah. You're trying. I mean, you people are trying to kill me. Should I show you respect? Right. You know what I mean? Like, and then they send out their best, guy. What's his name? Chula. And they all chant Chula, 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 Chula. And then he's like fighting him.
I was disappointed in that fight.
And then he punches him in the face and jumps out the window at the exact same time that Hip is driving by with his nieces.
Which, once again, we talked about this on the way in and everything. Because I was making progressivism jokes and all that. To where, like, look at that. 1970s, you have two young Chinese girls that are top of their class that just beat up a whole school full of martial artists.
They did. They kicked ass.
It's like strong female, minority, characters. This is like, you, can't get any better than that.
I like how they kind of kept their... innocence while they were doing it, because they're giggling the whole time they're kicking the crap out of these guys.
Very Asian.
Yeah.
And then Bond sits back in the background like a bitch and just okay, go ahead, whatever. I don't need to do shit.
I'll chalk that up to you seen that though. It was like a shtick they used to do in old 70s movies though, where a little character that you wouldn't think that has that potential would do something, and the main guy would be like, "Huh, well,
now you sit back and be like, I want to see how far these bitches go.
It's like you
before I need to step in.
Like you're sitting back and almost impressed with what you're seeing, but it was like a joke and everything for that cinema at the time.
But then they all run to the car to leave, and Hip drives off before Bond gets in the car.
Yeah,
which leads us to the second movie in a the second movie in a row.
I thought that was weird, but I kind of liked it because that's probably what you would do. Like, I got to look out for these girls.
I got my nieces.
Sorry, James Bond, you're on your own. Yeah.
You'll figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
So where does Roger Moore's James Bond end up?
Another damn
in a boat. It's his thing. He gets in boat chases.
This one had a giant outboard motor. It was a
These-
tiny.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Good God,
there's
man!
there's a name for them because they're the kind of boats they race around in Thailand on the canals all the time on. But yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Just a giant motor.
but no, so then they're racing around the canals and everything on there and whatnot. And then that's when the damn sheriff and all that makes an appearance again.
Yeah.
Hold on,
J.W.
before we
Pepper.
get too far into J.W. Pepper, which I think we're going to spend half an hour on. We around this time, it's important to know Scaramanga kills High Fat
Yes.
and basically
Yeah.
takes over
takes
his
over.
operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He
Doesn't
goes, I've
really
been promoted
understand it.
to.
Like later on, you'll find out he doesn't even understand what he took over. He just knows things
Well,
work
because
Yeah.
the way they do.
Yeah, he even says it. He's like, I just inherited this.
This is the third henchman, or not henchman, but bad guy, to say the exact same line in a Bond movie. Science isn't really my thing. It's the third guy to say it.
I feel like that's a lot of people who fund.
But he really
movies
showed it
like
because he
this.
was just like, whatever you say.
Yeah, yeah, just like
And it's funny because that's what they're doing. The science.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. That's what's going on the whole time. Oh, we got some solar power shit. Aren't about science. Whatever.
Yeah.
like, all right, just tell me who you want killed. It's $1 million. Like,
So first off, I just want to touch on the little kid. Because the little kid, he's like,
there's a joke in there.
he's in 30 baht. Yeah, I don't know. So he's in a big like
He's in a tourist boat.
tourist boat.
The
Thank
kid
you.
is
That's the
just
word
a-
I was looking
the
for.
kid's just annoying trying to sell it.
Yeah, he's trying to sell us a wooden carved elephant.
I would have pushed him out the boat if I was a tourist.
And then he jumps out of the boat when nobody will buy his elephant, and then climbs into Bond's boat, and he's trying to sell the elephant to Bond, and Bond won't respond to him for the longest time. He asks Bond to buy it like 6 times before Bond even says anything. It's kind of a weird scene, and then
For you handsome man.
yeah, and then he goes, "If you can get this thing to go faster," he says, "I'll give you 20,000 bar or whatever." And the kid's like 20,000 bar and then immediately fixes it.
Turns the gas line on, yeah.
And Bond just throws it out the boat.
I owe you.
And he's so happy. He's like, 20,000. And he's like,
And so then Bond continues his boat scene, and then eventually he ends up like smashing the other boat. Like he cuts across it.
yeah.
And
Because remember, the sheriff's already joking around about him by that time.
yeah, the sheriff's on this. The sheriff is on vacation
Yeah.
from the first boat chase scene in another movie. He's on vacation now with his wife,
Both chases scene and the sheriff's involved. Like,
and he is.
and the damn wife bought the elephant.
Yes,
He did.
Like, she was like,
yes, she did.
What are you doing down there?
And
This broad.
and he is making all these crazy comments. The sheriff, I mean, and then
Oh, boys, that's what you get when the kids got
yeah. Yeah, then he ends up falling in the water next to the woman with all the bananas. He ends up throwing a banana at
You're
her.
not Englishman. I'm with you all the way, boy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I was like,
See, everybody in the room is laughing, Tom. Everybody in the room is laughing.
He's been deputized.
but it's just so bad because I could actually name people in my life that have that personality to act like that. I think that's what annoys me about it is like, yes, it's a stereotype and it's a character, but I do know people that act like that, and it is just like, God, they're just as annoying. They are.
My only issue with the J.W. Pepper introduction is that he should have been used less. Like he's
Oh
okay
my
to
God,
have him
yeah.
in there for a little bit of comedy silliness,
There's no reason for 2 movies in a
but
row.
it carried on too long.
I don't need.
But
It is such a hard stretch of the imagination for me to believe somebody with that personality type would vacation in
Thailand.
Thailand, China, or wherever they are. I was like, no, this is not where you're going. Like, I just
Yeah,
like,
no one from
No, I mean he
let-
wouldn't.
no one from
yeah,
the
and,
deep
No.
and
South
that's the thing. You're
Louisiana's been to
you're
China.
so far removed from it and whatnot.
you don't
that
know you're
it's-
going to the Ozarks, fella.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. If that at all, it's one of those to where like I don't know. It was just one of those to where like it's a caricature of a stereotype I don't enjoy. Like
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he could be embezzling out of the evidence locker and stealing money.
But I can at least respect that to a degree. Like, just
What?
like you're trying to get ahead in some way and everything. Like I said, everybody knows that you're corrupt and whatnot. Like, I don't know. Like
So you'd rather somebody be corrupt and a criminal than just act in a way you don't like?
Yes. As long as I can participate in the corruption.
Oh my god.
Oh man,
Anyway,
that's a
Very
different
speculative.
conversation.
yeah.
Like,
So then Pepper ends up in a car with Bond while they're chasing Francisco and Nick Nack in their car.
Been deputized.
And he is loving every second because he recognizes Bond from the last
Yeah.
thing, and he is loving every second of it. And this is where I actually thought was funny with Pepper was he's like telling Bond what to do and like criticizing the way he's doing it, and I think it's hilarious.
but the whole time, what we have a good night or whatever in the trunk of the car.
Yes, Goodnight has
We haven't
been
I
captured.
haven't even
Yes,
heard anybody talk about good night yet. Like,
Yeah,
I,
good-
I don't
Brought
think
her
her
up.
name's been mentioned.
yeah, like
well, because
She is.
she's an idiot.
little
Yeah.
blonde look around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all she's good for is giving you a good night.
I mean, like I said, she spends. half
Oh,
the
by the way,
movie
we skipped
trying
over the
to-
greatest scene in the whole movie. By
trying
the
to
way,
bed him.
I mean, in all reality,
Good night, no girl.
yes.
Oh yeah.
When Goodnight comes to Bond's room to sleep with him, and
it was gonna happen.
it was going to happen.
A
And-
nice little nighty that she's got on too there.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
is. She is
yeah, very nice. And then Anders shows up at his room to tell him about a plot. He throws Goodnight in the closet, and then bangs Anders 5 feet from her on the bed.
He's not married. He's okay.
And then pulls her out of the closet and goes, "Your time will come, sweetheart. Your time will come." And I'm just like, "Oh my
She has the
gosh,
look
that
on
is."
her face, like, but when? Like that's the look on her face. She still wants it.
Oh, that was great.
It's almost like a gladiator back in the Roman days. It's all right, yeah. You'll be next week, baby.
There's a schedule. Read the chart.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like
And so anyway,
Married.
We find out, somewhere I think along that time frame that Anders, I can't remember her first name,
Andrea.
Andrea
Andrea
Anders,
Anders.
she's the one who sent the bullet with 007 on it
yeah.
Yes.
to get help because she
To
basically
pretty much
lives
get
her
him on
life
the-
in fear.
Yeah, get him on
Mhm.
the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's world famous, everyone knows who
Yeah, like I
he
said,
is.
and you obviously know the address to MI6 as well, apparently.
They address that in a future movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just one of those
That
things.
MI6 building is known everywhere, and they end up having to move.
It's just,
Oh yeah.
Like,
Uh huh.
well, it
Yep.
wasn't addressed in this movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so they're in the car chase scene and whatnot, and yeah, like old Pepper, the whistle scene, the car chase, like yeah,
So Anders is dead at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
She steals the
Solex.
Solex,
Agitator.
and Francisco shoots her. He kills her, but he doesn't recover the Solex. And
oh man, that's so.
Yeah.
Stupid.
But then-
That's a stupid one too.
but then Bond finds it, and Bond gives it to Hip, who then gives it to Goodnight, and then Goodnight
Gets in the back of Scare.
gets in the back of
Yeah.
Scaremonger's car.
Well,
And
didn't-
she's so
she didn't
dumb. She's
really
like,
get in the
Well,
back.
yeah, she was trying to put a tracking
She was
device.
Trying to follow-
she was following Nick Nack because she heard there was a midget with a gun,
Yeah.
and they said that in the movie. I'm not being.
But
a
you
turd.
have the
Like,
merchandise. The whole world's being held hostage over.
Yeah, and this is right. It would have been a successful mission because Scaramanga said, "Hey, let's just stay out of each other's way,"
Yeah.
and he didn't know that Bond had the
Yeah,
Solex.
and he's like, "Hey, don't follow me,"
Yeah,
Yeah.
and walked away.
Yeah.
Like,
it would have been over if.
Essentially,
Goodnight
he
had
tells
done what
Bond,
she did.
"I respect you. We're the two most deadly men on Earth.
Yeah,
You
there's
stay
no
out of
need
my
to
way.
fuck
I'll stay
hide.
out of your way."
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially the conversation.
but she's tailing him, and then Francisco just puts her in the trunk. It's like, all right, let's go. Like, and,
Like, huh? Okay.
yeah.
a nice
But then,
one.
yeah, then they get into the car chase and whatnot. And
But here, this is something I wondered during the car chase, and she's in the trunk with the Solex or whatever. What happens if you just broke it?
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, hey, instead of him getting it, I'll just smash it right now. I
Or
mean, she has a tire iron. She
or
can
even
do it.
She really didn't think that far along when she was on the freaking when it started flying. She could have threw it right out of the plane.
Yeah, it's true. She opens the trunk, and she's in the air. She could have thrown it out.
And yeah,
terrifying. Like,
That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I feel like we need to talk to like the MI6 agents that are training people because they fucking suck.
Yeah, anyone
Like
that's
on
not
a real
00
level.
is-
Yeah.
Well,
Completely
he's only supposed to be a logistics agent. That's what it's. I mean, that's what they identify her. She's a logistics agent, so she's not really working in the field
Okay.
like that.
That makes more sense.
And then she requested to work with Bond because she wanted him to bang her.
Well,
she knows what she wants.
not only that, but M put her on the case because he said, "You two, essentially, you and Hip suck. I need a logistics agent with you to make sure things go correctly,"
Luke,
which is weird. But
good night. All right.
But yeah, but then it turns out you can fit that car with wings and all.
Apparently,
yeah.
They just take her out. And I love how like then Bond and all the cops and everything are staring, and Fat Sheriff's the last one to catch the net. Like,
he doesn't ever catch it. He goes, "You guys never seen a plane before?" And then the scene cuts.
and then
You
just
ain't never seen a plane before.
just hate it.
Yeah, there is some
He's
goofy
terrible.
stuff in there.
It just play. It just yeah.
I mean, but
No world. Of
I
Russell.
liked. I think I liked this movie more than you guys did, by and large.
I know. I feel like we're talking you into enjoying. You haven't had a, like just over there cheesing away.
Yeah,
Like,
I-
just like
I'll be honest, because I decided to take notes, and maybe this isn't true of all James, but it made the plot and the chronology of it made sense.
It made more sense than the last movie. We couldn't follow the last movie all over the.
Right.
No one knew where the freaking
which-
diamonds were. Who
Which
had the
made
diamonds?
this more enjoyable, and it was largely logical, and it was weird. There was a lot of weird
Definitely
stuff
weird.
in the movie.
Definitely weird.
That I enjoyed. The car turning into a flying car, of course, was silly. For good night, opening the trunk
then-
and being
but then we go
greeted
to
with that.
the seaplane. I liked the seaplane that Bond shows up in though.
By the way, I just want to go back to this real quick before we move on too far. For me, an all-time Bond low moment happened during the car chase. Bond jumps the canal
That he's
in
an
his car.
AMC,
Say what?
That he's in an AMC.
Well, no. And he jumps the canal on these bridge things, and like the car kind of turns over.
Conveniently twisted bridges.
Yes.
Screw jump.
But I don't have a problem with the jump. It's perfectly fine. It was some Dukes of Hazzard shit. But they put a sound effect on it that just was so awful, so fucking terrible. It just killed it. Like,
But then you followed up with the accent of the sheriff in the back, and it yeah.
it was an
so
all-time Bond low moment right there.
Well,
Okay.
there's,
Whoever,
make it funny,
too many
but it
people
wasn't.
signed off on that dumbassery.
there's a even I don't know if you call it a low moment. There's a really creepy moment when Scaramanga is with that. What's that girl's name again?
Is it Anders or Goodnight?
Anders, when he rubs the
Anders.
gun all
yeah,
over.
run
Oh,
the fucking
yeah.
gun all over her. That's fucking
Yeah.
creepy as fuck.
Oh, I wrote down super sexy.
No, seriously, I was watching this movie with my 4-year-old.
Oh,
Okay, and when he started rubbing the gun on her, my 4-year-old said, "What's wrong with him, Daddy?"
Yeah.
yeah.
Like at 4 years old, he realized, "What the hell is that man doing?"
I think that's just foreshadowing. Like, yeah, she's gonna kill her. That's how I took it. I was like,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, she is gonna die.
I took it as
Yeah.
foreshadowing, is what I did. Like, yes, it's
yeah.
clearly intimidation. He's not
Well,
trying to seduce her. Like,
No, I think
Yeah.
I think it gets him off.
oh no, I took it.
I
I'm
think
sure
he's
that's
got like
part
a
of
kink.
I think
Like there's a
yeah.
power to it.
Oh, probably. But I took
Mhm.
it as like this is intimidation. Like he's trying to scare her. She's not gonna live.
And
Like,
and what came to like immediate to my mind was the Devil's Rejects.
yeah.
That scene in the hotel.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
rough.
Yep.
So now we're back to Scaramanga, Nick Nack, and Goodnight are gone in a flying car, and Bond and Hip and them are back with MI6 talking again with M, and M's like, they're in Chinese protected areas. We can't go there. And again, Bond's like, well, officially you won't know about it. And so again, he's sending them on a mission he can't send them on.
Yep.
He's never like still all this is still under the table. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
So then Bond has a, like Tom was getting ready to talk about, a really cool plane.
I did like it's a nice little person, like a person, like 2-person seaplane or whatever it was, but like little capsule and like you said, even like coming up to the island, they hit up Francisco and they're like, "Hey, we have an aircraft coming in. Like, what do you want us to do?" Like, "Oh no, it's a friend of mine. Like, I have dinner
You have a
reservations and
guest.
yeah,
But then he goes, but he won't be leaving.
yeah.
So he kind of gives you that menacing part there at the very end.
Oh, but yeah,
He will
it's
serve my
yeah,
master sorrow.
yeah.
But then when he gets there, they serve him champagne. He does shoot the top off the champagne bottle. I think it's kind of like an intimidation tactic.
yeah,
But like he shows him champagne, he shows him his whole island, his whole contraption, with the solar power and
That's the
everything.
villain thing.
And then,
Explain the
but
entire
again, to lead to like, okay, I'm going to show you that like I respect you, I like you, I really don't want to do this, but boom, I blew up your plane. You're not leaving, dude.
well, and what
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
about that, I really enjoyed that scene because it was the lack of special effect.
Yeah.
Well, it was more realistic because you see a laser like that
You're
in
not-
the daytime. You're not going to see a beam going.
Yeah, you're not
to
going
it.
to see nothing.
just
If you
gonna-
actually had something like that,
Yeah.
it would just be invisible. And it's like, hey, we don't have to spend anything on production value here. Just point it, pretend like something went off, and hit the trigger there, and blow it up. Like,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
I loved that just because, like I said, I don't know if they meant it to be in that way, but I love the
more
realism
believable.
of it.
Yeah,
and
it did make it
everything.
believable.
Yeah, like I like that. And then the whole, like you said, just the sheer respect of them when they were sitting at dinner, like going back and forth, like you knew Francisco knew that where the conversation was going, so he's already like putting together the gun under the table and whatnot.
Because
And,
he knows Bond
it's-
essentially is going to do his job at some point.
Yeah, but I think
But
that
he's
like you said-
he's ready for it. He wants that to happen too. He
Yeah.
still respects him, but he does want that final confrontation because
Well,
he's like, I want to prove once and for all,
there can-
I am the top.
there can still
guy.
only be one.
Yeah,
Like,
Highlander
that's
moment.
the thing is like, hey,
It's a
it's like,
Highlander moment.
I respect you. You kind of came. I told you leave
No
me
Sean
alone.
Connery,
like,
but it's
we're
a
both
Highlander
number
moment.
one. Like, but I like the whole idea of like pistols at dawn and everything,
Yeah.
the 20 paces and all that.
but then
but
he's
it-
gone.
Well, but it
Yeah.
still led to he wanted to make it hard for him,
Hmm.
and I think that's where you see the arrogance of Francisco. To where it's like, yes, I respect you and I think you're so good, but I still think I'm so much better than you that I'm gonna make killing you harder on me.
So then it just proceeds with them hunting each other around the compound,
Yeah,
and eventually Bond fakes like he's a mannequin and then shoots him.
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
funny because all the fake Bond mannequins around anyway.
Yeah.
That's what was tripping out the guy at the very beginning and all that. to
Yeah,
where
that,
he keeps
and
shooting
that
the
was a
dummies and all
foreshadowing
that.
moment too.
It
because
was.
It was
Yeah,
like
totally
he has
was.
that Bond thing. He's like, he looks really realistic, and towards the end, it was really him, and he
Yeah.
bow.
And
Yeah.
that's the like, yeah, you not as good as you thought and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's
well, he
what
fell
was
for
good
his
about
own stupid trick.
it. Yeah, I was just
But
saying,
then-
that's what I liked about it. Like,
But then
it's-
Goodnight, in her
Arrogance
complete
can
ineptitude,
Ah,
pushes or knocks somebody in the head with a wrench and sends them into one of the vats of liquid.
like hydrogen or something.
yeah,
Yeah, and which has signs everywhere that says must maintain absolute zero. So his body heat raises it. The whole compound's gonna explode. So then they end up on his old wooden Viking ship.
There's the boat. There's the
Oh,
boat.
those they have a
Yeah.
junk.
yeah.
The little
Yeah, they call
Chinese
it junk.
junks. Yeah.
And
Which look cool.
We have
and
a
then
different
so,
boat moment.
but then they're on the boat, and who's there but
Little
Nick Nack?
Nack.
Just
And so then Bond has a fight scene with Nick Nack and ends up putting him in a suitcase.
Yeah.
yeah, it was just funny.
I didn't like
Yeah.
it that Nick Nack got any offense in at all on James Bond.
Yeah.
He should have been at least able to get a nut shot in.
Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just throwing wine bottles at me would have pissed me off.
yeah.
I'd have
like,
been,
what are
yeah,
you
I'm like, you
doing?
little motherfucker. It's just
He
like-
literally puts the suitcase up. He's taller than the suitcase. He literally just reaches up and goes
Like-
bonk and then shuts the suitcase. Like what? Like it's so dumb. But so then he's banging Goodnight finally on the ship. And where do we? Is that?
That's another ship moment.
Yeah,
Again,
I feel like at some point we need to
Yeah.
start keeping track of that in some capacity.
yeah.
Like define like
At some
boat
point
on
he's
the
gotta
water,
realize-
like-
I don't have to end on a boat. You
James
know?
Bond may want to just buy a boat.
I think he'd be
That's
one of
true.
those
Buy
things
his own
where,
boat.
like,
Yeah, maybe he should have a houseboat.
I think it's a guarantee if I was Bond, like if I go on a
Just
boat, I'm
decide to
fucking
live on the water from now
Like,
on.
just like
Is that the end, or is there something else after that? Does it end on the boat?
That was it. After he dealt with
Yeah.
Nick Nack, that was it.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Mhm.
Because I think it rolls credits with him still.
Yeah,
on the
'cause
boat.
then
Oh,
just-
yeah, you're
'cause then
right.
Just
Yep.
the boat. Yeah, because I remember thinking the same thing to where like, I don't know. I expected some. I don't know why I expected something from M or MI6.
Yeah, there wasn't a real
everything.
definitive end
Yeah,
to it. It wasn't like, there
like-
wasn't a like the resolution was okay. Yeah, he killed Scaramanga.
There wasn't a
dealt with
debriefing.
Nick Nack, but it wasn't like a.
yeah.
We
I wasn't.
stopped
I wasn't
this whole thing
debriefed.
from
That's
happening.
what the issue was. Like,
So then, I guess that ends our movie synopsis portion and moves us into rankings. And I guess our first thing to talk about is body count, which I have down at 2. Anders and Goodnight.
Anders finally good
yeah,
night.
because
gets
he
it.
didn't get Chew Me.
Nope.
Nope.
He did not get to chew her.
Yeah, he's like, really?
So a total of 23 and 9 movies. So that moves us to our Bond girl. So I'm going to go ahead and skip Tom since Tom never knows, and go to Barry.
So is Goodnight the Bond girl?
Goodnight
or
is the
it-
Bond girl,
it's
yeah.
not
Good
Anders,
night.
it's
Yeah,
Goodnight.
Anders died, so
Okay.
they can't die.
Obviously, it feels dumb to say she's an attractive woman. She's a very, very beautiful young woman.
Got that Brady Bunch look going on.
And when I give my ratings, they're not necessarily like what my person, but they're based on what we already have, where I'd put them now.
okay.
So I would put her, and I am taking into account her character.
By the way, our numbers are messed up, Ray. We have 2 number 1s.
No, I know. That
Okay.
was just a quick copy and paste.
I would put her at 4,
Okay.
right after Honey Rider.
That's actually where I
That
was.
would
Gonna,
be-
That's where I was going to put her.
Yeah, that's where I was too.
Yep.
Oh, shocking. You guys never
Yeah,
agree with me on the
yeah.
ladies.
I was.
No, I
thinking-
found her very
No,
attractive,
she is attractive.
but not like I don't. I kind of think the top 3 are kind of in a class of their own.
Yeah, they may not move. for a while.
Yeah, but then
I'm
I-
trying to
It's
think.
gonna be hard to be solitary.
I don't know.
Solitary and dominant.
Well, if we add in
I mean,
that old non-canon one, which means Kim Basinger, she goes up pretty high for me.
yeah, there's a few of them that are pretty
Goes up
hot
pretty
coming
high.
up, but you're right.
Berry.
But anyway, let's get back to
yeah.
this.
Oh man, that-
3 of us have her at 4. So Ray, where you got her?
I don't know. She's pretty fucking stupid, but I'll put her at 5.
brains aren't everything here, Ray.
So
I know,
we're
but
all at-
still, I mean,
so we're
Yeah,
like
somebody
all
might
of
look
us
from
at
time to
4
time.
and you 5. So I guess that
Tom?
makes more sense.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm kind of leaning toward where you guys are because like I kind of think she's in kind of like the same class as her, and it would be between her and Honey. But honestly, I kind of like her more than Honey. So I think I'm gonna put her above Honey.
So you'd put her at 3.
So we have 3 4s, and a 5. So I feel like 4 is the natural place for her.
okay.
I mean,
Makes sense.
and that literally makes mathematical sense. Like
Yeah.
take the top and the bottom off because they're one apart, and we're in the middle. So
Cause she's a petite little thing. And I like that.
yeah.
Now you're thinking.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I
while
was
we're
like,
working
if I
on
could
that
hold- if I could
list,
hold you with one hand. Like,
we'll move on to the movie itself. So, we haven't, other than Barry, we haven't had a lot of positive thoughts today. So I'll be interested to see how this works out. But Barry, where you got the movie?
I bet he puts it before Russia.
Well, I want to say again, these are when I give my rating, it's based on what we've all agreed on for everything else, not
Correct.
where I would necessarily put it if I had my own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you have to at this point. Like,
So
Yeah.
I Justin is very smart to have noticed. I would put it at 4.
Barry just wants From Russia with Love to move down so bad that he puts every movie above it.
I thought this movie is, from what I gather from what other people say,
Well,
I think it may be one of the most underrated James Bond movies.
if we're going on fun, it is more fun than from. I don't expect the emotion of fun from Russia with Love. Like I'm not gonna invoke that out of that. But I get how if you're wanting that in a movie, yeah, it beats it that way.
Justin?
I've got it between Live and Let Die and Diamonds.
So 7?
Yeah.
Is that right?
All right, we got a 4 and we got a 7.
I have it above Live and Let Die.
6.
Yep.
I have it between Diamonds and Her Majesty.
Okay. So all over the place.
Yeah.
Tom?
Dead last.
Dead last.
Okay.
Really.
Yep.
All right.
Because I don't like how they repeated the Louisiana sheriff character.
You just hate
And-
that guy.
well,
Man,
there-
I
there-
agree with him. No, he's fucking
There's
trash.
there's no need for it. Like
Yeah.
you did it the one time when you were down in the South doing that stuff. You were in Louisiana. It made sense. Like you're basically, like I said, like Ray, you'll understand the analogy. You're basically the Ewok of James Bond to me right now. Like it's like, hey, I just had Empire Strikes Back, and now you're giving me all these cute, cuddly little creatures and everything in Jedi.
Yeah,
I
but at
don't-
least the Ewoks put in work. He
Yeah,
didn't.
But I
He was a deputy. He was deputized.
being deputized.
He was.
The Ewoks was killing fucking AT-ATs the whole movie.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
still,
we can't go off on a Star Wars
So we
tangent.
Yeah,
have to
let's not
find
do
a
that.
consensus placement.
Oh,
based
we're
on-
So we
all
have
over the
8,
place.
7, 6, 5, 4. We literally have all of us with different slots.
Well, do we want
So
to
does that mean
agree
6?
to slot it between Live and Let Die and Diamonds?
Is that
I mean, that'd be the middle.
I mean, be
Right.
roundabout there.
I mean, I could get on board with that, I guess. Yeah, right there. 1, 2.
So Tom and I come up a little bit, and Ray and Barry come down, and we're pretty much deciding with Justin.
Yeah, we can just go at 7. I'll be cool at 7.
I was gonna say I don't care enough to put up the we could put it above Lip, because for right now, if they're gonna keep giving this turd the same cameo in the next one even and stuff, like if I keep seeing this fool for at least another movie, like it's ridiculous.
I think it's more useful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They switch out and get a different sheriff. Like,
All right, so I guess that's it.
Right below Live and Let Die.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
J.W. Pepper's Return.
yeah, that's
That should just be the
was
name of the
saying,
next
yeah,
movie.
Return of the Pepper.
Return of the Pepper.
I tell you what, boy.
So that
Pepper
leaves
Strikes
us
Back.
with
God, it just has the bandana with the dip and everything, just over the top. Just
Goldfinger at number 1, Thunderball at 2, Dr. No at 3, From Russia with Love to Barry's chagrin. You Only Live Twice, then Live and Let Die. Die. Yeah, you just deleted stuff, and I don't know what's going on.
And then Man with the Golden Gun.
Man with a Golden Gun, then Diamonds Are Forever, and then Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Correct.
All right. Well, that's our movies. We appreciate you tuning in for this Man with the Golden Gun episode. And we would... Ooh, what is the next movie? Damn.
Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes, that's right. We appreciate you tuning in next week for The Spy Who Loved
Yeah,
Me.
yeah, from what I remember.
And we like you tuning in to... Or thanks for tuning in to Blockbuster Bums.
Good.